Have you ever cuddled up underneath a blanket during spooky season and thought to yourself, what terrifying anime could I turn on? Well, today, I'm presenting you with 10 of the most visually and psychologically terrifying animes. And trust me, the last few will have you sleeping with the lights on. Number 10. This anime is bound to put the fear of God in you as you jump from twisted story to twisted story. And this comes from the legend himself, Junji Ito. Family, this one does not hold back. From the very beginning of episode 1, you get the vibe that this is something special. And by the time you get near the end of the episode, it becomes absolutely terrifying. Now, I will admit that eating something while watching this one may not be a good idea, because the animators did a phenomenal job in creating some of the most grotesque scenes you'll see in a long time. But the real magic is how eerie every single setting feels, and how you're constantly on edge due to the unexpected nature. So the Junji Ito Collection is one you should watch with some friends. Number 9. Family, this is one of the ones you can't watch in front of people who don't understand anime, because it's full of those things that make people side-eye you. But trust me when I say that you'll enjoy every single minute of it, because this particular series has an incredible way of showing you some of the most horrific scenes, while also building up the main character as something scary and otherworldly. And it makes sense when you realize that he's a vampire who has gained power that only a few could imagine. But one of the most interesting aspects is how his power is displayed from episode to episode, and how strange he is morally. Because you really start to think, is this a good guy or a villain? Also, the animation is extremely fluid and stylistic, so you do get that spooky season feel from it. Furthermore, you do fall in love with the supporting characters, especially the cop who gets put into awkward positions constantly. But this is one you should dive into with someone who's okay with seeing a little blood every now and then. But for God's sakes, please don't show them as your starter, because it'll probably be the last time this person ever comes to your place. So make sure you add Hellsing Ultimate to your watch list. Number 8. Family, if there was ever a series that set a tone for what's to come, it's definitely this one. I mean, from the very first frame, your mouth drops. And good luck picking it up as the series continues, because this absolutely twisted tale follows a kid who moves to a new town and makes friends with these cute, lovable girls. But their cute demeanor quickly starts to change as the main character starts to ask one too many questions. And the way it's depicted is straight up jump scares, or at least one of those things that make you sit up with your eyebrows down, because everything starts to be unsettling. But to add fuel to the fire, this poor man gets put through the ringer, and your mental state while watching this series starts to descend into pure hellish chaos. And the funny part is they continue to use a cute art style, so visually, every scene is impactful. And that's why I would recommend you watching it with a large group of friends, because not only is it scary, it starts interesting conversations, especially how you would react to these experiences. So Higurashi is a must during spooky season. Number 7. My brother and sisters, this one here went from manga to anime to a live action. And you know, if it made my anime list, it's definitely something special. But besides that, this show follows a group of people who ended up in an empty Tokyo. And to survive, they have to play a set of games, which get more and more diabolical as it goes on. But the real magic is how close this resembles traditional anime, from the story arcs all the way to the characters. I mean, for God's sakes, they even have a version of Killua, but you and your friends will have a very good time trying to solve all the puzzles that are being thrown at you. Or you'll probably just be grossed out by how brutal the games are. And don't worry, this is not one of those shows that got canceled. This is a completely flushed out story, one that everyone can sit around and enjoy together. Just make sure you don't fall into the rabbit hole of discussing what you would do in those situations, because it will definitely test some friendships. So make sure you check out Alice in Borderlands. Number 6 is a story of two girls who frequently travel to a different world, but instead of it being whimsical and beautiful, it is full of hideous creatures who want nothing more than to taste your lovely flesh. But their motivation for constantly taking this trip is hinged on friendship and finding a missing person. So the dynamic itself already makes you uncomfortable, because you feel like one person doesn't really want to be there. But some of the best parts of this anime are the jump scares, which I can promise come in abundance. And may I add that the elevator scenes are pure nightmare fuel, and definitely something you would not see me doing. Also, the series is full of misdirections, which will keep you and your friends on your toes the entire time, because it's impossible to guess what's happening from minute to minute. And I will add that they do have a cool way of making everybody lovable, especially the main character. So if you're down to cuddle underneath the blanket with somebody, make sure you check out Otherside Picnic. Number 5. What would you do if you had the power to send anyone you want to hell, and all you had to do was say the word? Well, this is exactly what we get in this anime, as people are positioned to make a choice against the people they hate the most. And this anime doesn't rely on jump scares, because its bread and butter is tension, especially when you watch each person being socially tortured, and in some cases basically removed from society, which eventually leads to them having to make the decision of sending their enemies to a horrible place. And I'm going to tell you the truth, as you watch some of these episodes, you start to feel sorry for every single person, to the point that you think, man, maybe they do deserve this. But you know it wouldn't be a great anime if it didn't have a twist. So no matter how much you justify some of these decisions, something always surprises you near the end of each episode. And it leaves you staring up at your ceiling thinking, oh my god, what did I just watch? As you quickly sit back up to start another episode. Now I will say the artwork is a bit simple in this one, but the story is definitely something you're going to enjoy. So make sure you add Hell Girl if you're brave. Number 4 is about a young lady who wakes up in a strange building that has multiple floors. And from the very moment it starts, you quickly realize that this is going to be hell for her. And sure enough, they proceed to introduce you to uncut terror, as this poor girl is pursued by everybody. But unlike some of the other ones on this list, this one has more of a friendly vibe, even though it's built to be spooky. And one of the most interesting parts about this entire series are the villains and their strange personalities. So it's one of the rare ones that I can actually say is okay to watch with friends and family. But be warned, Angel of Death is a little bloody. Number 3 is an anime where we follow a girl in one of the most apocalyptic settings, and the main theme is her guarding an egg. But what makes this one scary is how hopeless everything seems, and how it mirrors our society. It's as if you're trapped in a nightmare, and even though you're not getting different types of jump scares, you get a sick feeling at the bottom of your stomach. Now there's not a lot of talking in this film, but the symbolism will leave everyone in your group talking for weeks. Plus, the icing on the cake is the master level animation, 4K remastering, and direction. So immediately put on your thinking cap and check out Angel's Egg. Number 2. Now this classic anime movie hits home immediately, because you won't find anything that paints our society as celebrity crazy better than this one. Family, in this film, we follow a young lady who is part of a pop group who decides to pivot careers, and in doing so triggers some of the scariest chain of events, from stalkers all the way to creepy fans. But what you'll love the most is how tension is constantly building, and in some parts you barely have a moment to breathe, because it's just that intense. But I will say that it's a pretty mature film, so you better be ready to see some wild stuff. And that's why Perfect Blue makes the list. Number 1 is definitely the anime that'll have your hair standing up. I'm talking back of the neck with goosebumps, because it's like the director bottled up some terror when they created this story where we follow a kid who moves into a new town, which is technically the town he was born in, but finds himself in a class that is rumored to be cursed. And what makes this so terrifying is the fact that the situation could somewhat be solved if everyone would share information. But this is one of the ones that make you want to pull your hair out, because you see this creature constantly getting closer and closer. And it makes you want to sit up and scream, run, or at least slap some sense into the main character. Also, they didn't go cheap on the animation, because this thing is absolutely beautiful. From the blood splatter all the way to the fluid movement of the characters. Plus, the soundtrack is constantly building tension and keeping you on edge. So if it's spooky season or you and your friends just want a scare, make sure you catch Another or any of the other ones on this list. And when you're done doing that, click on this special video I made for all of you about why having a devil fruit power would suck in real life. And I will see you on the very next video.